organizer for today's presentation. We're happy to welcome today's presenters, Mr. Alfonso Samano, the New York Executive Director of the Mexico Tourism Board, as well as ASA's very own Jack Grant. Before we get started, I'd like to point out a few important features on your screen that will allow you to interact with us via the web today. We will be answering your questions at the end of this presentation. To ask a question, you will be using your GoToWebinar pane. Near the bottom of this pane, there is an area that says Questions. If you click the arrow next to where it says Questions, it will open up a window pane. This is what you'll be using to communicate with us today. If you're having trouble hearing today's presentation, please make sure that your speakers are turned all the way up. And if this does not rectify the problem, please try hanging up and dialing back in again. You can send me any technical issues via this questions pane, and I will try to answer them via the same pane to the best of my ability. Please note that all audience members are muted. We certainly want to hear from you all, but with so many people on today's call, background noise would be prohibitive, and we want to ensure that everyone can hear the entire presentation. Please remember that one of today's lucky webinar attendees will win a $100 Visa gift card courtesy of ASTA. In order to win, you must be on this presentation from beginning to end, and we'll be announcing the winner live after the Q&A session. As a bonus, one attendee will also win a chance to win a 3-night stay for 2 at the Hotel Extra Mexico in Playa del Carmen. Finally, please note that this webinar is being recorded and will be available for your on-demand viewing at asta.org by the end of the week. Now, without further ado, it is my pleasure to welcome Jack Grant. Jack, take it away.
Thank you, Kara, for that wonderful introduction. Hello, ASTA Travel Advisors. We've got the privilege today to have Alfonso Samano take us through the subject of air connectivity to many destinations in Mexico, but also to provide a tourism landscape of all the great fabulous locations from one end to the other of destination choices to present to your customers, and insights to some of the kind of off the beaten trail hotels and restaurants that your customers will want to know about. I've had the privilege of knowing Alfonso for the past 8 years. Since 2013-14, he was actually in the private sector before he joined the Mexico Tourism Board as New York Executive Director. He's responsible for overseeing 21 international offices, including the United States. He's held several positions within MTB, including the Mexico Tourism Board Director based in New York, where he managed the coordination of 10 offices in the U.S. and Canada. He's been the Director of Internal Affairs, the Regional Director of Mexico Tourism Board in Canada, as well as the Director of the Houston-based office, where he oversaw Texas, Louisiana, New Mexico, and other Southwestern locations. We've got a full agenda today, our advisors, so I'm going to turn it over to Alfonso to take you on an expedition of one of my favorite countries in the world, and to tell us a little bit about the connectivity to all the various destinations and the great, fabulous choices of destinations for your consumers. With that, I will turn it over to Alfonso.
Thank you, Jack. Thank you, Kara, for that introduction as well. Let me begin by thanking all of the American Society of Travel Advisors community for having us this afternoon. It is actually a privilege to be in communication directly to you all and to talk about Mexico. As you may know, Mexico is a huge country with several different destinations, very diverse, very colorful, and actually a great business opportunity for our community. In Mexico, the air connectivity is on demand. As you may know, from the last couple of years, the Mexican and the U.S. government signed a bilateral agreement which has allowed the airlines and all service providers to increase their services connecting our destinations. So this is amazing and is actually growing as we speak. The connections from pretty much all of the United States are very easy into the Mexican destinations. Most of them are in the range of the 4 to 5 hour flight, which is very acceptable. If you live in southern US, let's say California or Texas or New Mexico, you are actually closer to the Mexican destinations than some people actually living in Mexico. So this is great. I had a very good recent experience. I was traveling with my family to celebrate my birthday. We actually departed from the JFK airport in a direct flight to Cancun airport, and actually spent a weekend. It was just a long weekend. We just took the Monday off, and then I was able to celebrate in a very special manner my birthday with my family. And I was departing at 6:50 JFK, and I was at lunchtime in Cancun, just enjoying ourselves. As I've said that, there is pretty much no time difference between Cancun, let's say the region of the Riviera Maya, and the Cancun area. There is no time difference with the eastern U.S. So pretty much we are at the same time on the West Coast, in Central Time, and then the Eastern Time. As we were saying before, Mexico is booming. In terms of tourism, the growth, thanks to your support, we have actually become the 6th most visited country in the world. Last year, we achieved, along with our partners, almost 39.4 million of visitors, and the country is actually growing. This is a great increase for the last years that I've seen the tourism sector in Mexico, and actually represents a growth of more than 62% during the last 6 to 7 years. This is pretty amazing, and again, it's thanks for all of our partners and friends. As you can tell, this is not the exemption for this year. We are actually seeing a very good numbers, and of course, as many other destinations and travel places in the world, we share our challenges in the tourism industry, but we are doing very well, especially thanks to the North American market, which are actually half of our visitors, or a little over that, from the United States and Canada. Mexico, as I was mentioning before, is a very diverse destination. By this slide, you are going to see how diverse is our country. If you go to Cabos, to Cancun, Mexico City, Guadalajara, there is a lot of different cultures. Even the cuisine is a totally different experience. But I would highlight a couple of aspects that I believe are very useful for you to actually sell the Mexican destinations. Of course, service-wise, Mexico is outstanding. What you pay for what you get in Mexico in terms of value is also unbelievable. These days, with exchange rate and other factors, our destinations are very attractive for all of the North America traveler. But going back to the service, sometimes when we ask, the visitors, the consumers, the clients of yours, that why are they going repeatedly to Mexican destinations, some of them twice or at least once a year, they tell us clearly that they are going back because of the service provided. They are in a very good connection with the people working in Mexico, and we all thank you for sending those clients, because that means millions of jobs in the Mexican industry as well. We conducted recently, just a very quick parenthesis here, we conducted a very interesting segmentation study in terms of the North American market that actually told us about over 30 million potential visitors in the United States willing or considering traveling to Mexico for any reason. So that's the size of the opportunity from our markets into the Mexico City destination, destinations. And I need to say as well, we are monitoring the GDSs, the systems where you actually do your bookings to the airlines. And for this year, we are close to 19 million available seats in 2018 to Mexico destinations, which is pretty amazing. Let's talk about a little bit about the specific destinations. Pretty much, if you are anywhere in the United States, from the West Coast to the Midwest or Southern U.S., the Northeast, you can go to any place in Mexico by traveling in direct flights, or with a very simple connection through Mexico City or some of the airports in the United States. The Mexico City, it's actually my hometown. I'm very glad to talk about this large city in North America. Yes, Jack?
I've visited Mexico City many times, and one of my favorite things to do when I do business in Mexico is go to Mexico City, spend an extra day outside the 2 or 3 days I'm there for business to be a tourist, but also use that as a jumping off point to go to Guadalajara or Cabo or any other Mexico destination for a day or two. Real easy, very, very accessible flights. The transportation within Mexico, the regional airlines, very, very accessible, and great product between Interjet and Aeromexico. You can go literally anywhere in Mexico from Mexico City several times a day.
Thanks, Jack. And actually, talking about the economy of Mexico, just last year in 2017, Mexico received 30 billion USD in foreign investment overall, which allows us to talk about the scale of the economy now in Mexico. This is pretty amazing. We are going to talk a little bit about the factors in terms of the tourism sector that are very important and key for our growth. As our minister, Enrique de la Madrid, did say recently, there are, I would say 4 very important factors that we have been talking about this afternoon. First, of course, the improvement in terms of the air connectivity. We would say as well the new products, meaning that people 10 or 20 years ago used to go to Mexico to do certain things, and now there are a large range of different options for them to experience in our destinations. Of course, fostering the high potential markets. That means that we are really focusing on the markets that generate the best business for our destinations, and of course, the U.S. being number 1. And of course, as you may heard, and just recently we had in Mexico City the beautiful Day of the Dead celebration in all over the country, but the Mexico City parade, it was pretty spectacular and attended by over 1 million people. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And also the Formula One, NFL, and many other high impact events that are actually putting Mexico in the international spotlight. Going back to the air connectivity, you can, we're going to be sharing some of these figures with you all in terms of the travelers going to certain airports in the Mexico destinations. Just Cancun last year had 7.5 million people traveling via air. The Mexico City airport, 4.2. Los Cabos airport, 1.7 million people. Puerto Vallarta airport, which you may know, serve not only the Puerto Vallarta as a destination, but also the Riviera Nayarit, Punta Mita area, 1.5 million travelers via air. And Guadalajara, the second largest city in Mexico, 1 million from all over the United States. So definitely our most important markets from North America, from the United States, are California, the Midwest region, Texas, and the Northeast. As we mentioned before, the opportunities to develop markets from all of the U.S. are just there. Some of the benefits that we've seen after the bilateral agreement signed by our government, signed by the U.S. and the Mexico government, is some other smaller airports servicing Mexico destinations and actually putting available a lot of different connections to make it easy for your clients and travelers to go anywhere from the U.S. to anywhere in Mexico. Just as an example, we actually are talking, as we speak, we are seeing at least 16 new routes, not only from North America, but from Europe, Asia, and the Middle East into Mexico airports. Here in North America, we've seen, for example, Spirit Airlines, almost 22% increase for what it is 2018 this year. JetBlue as well with 16% increase. Alaska Airlines with almost 5% increase in terms of new routes into Mexico destinations. So we are speaking to all of those airlines actually to expand the services, not only these other airlines that I did mention, but all of our partners, the bigger airlines, to actually explore new opportunities to doing business in Mexico. These are some of the new routes that, as we speak, are actually taking off from the U.S. airports into Mexico, like the Boston to Mexico City with the JetBlue, Chicago to Guadalajara, Chicago to León in the Bajío in central Mexico, Detroit to León City, New York to Mexico City, Philadelphia to Mexico City as well with American Airlines, very recent, Sacramento to Los Cabos, Salt Lake City to Guadalajara. You know, we call Guadalajara the most Mexican city and the most Mexican state because the tequila and the mariachi are actually from there. You have enjoyed your tequila and some of the mezcal as well in Oaxaca.
More than one occasion. More than one occasion. So yes, if anybody tells you that mariachi or tequila originated someplace else, you'll know the correct one.
Yes, actually they do have a town called Tequila. We are going to elaborate a little bit of that a little later. But, well, just to finish up with the list, San Diego to Puerto Vallarta, San Francisco to Cancun, San Francisco to Guadalajara, and San Jose, California to Los Cabos. Those are very easy flights, you know, probably within 2 hours. But now, for example, I was not surprised, I wouldn't say, but I was very happy to see, for example, United operating from Newark all the way down to Los Cabos. So people from the Northeast have the opportunity to actually experience the great Sea of Cortez. Well, many of us are very familiar with the Quintana Roo destinations now. As you may know, they just opened it's actually officially in business this year, their new tourism board for the Quintana Roo whole destinations that actually includes the island of Cozumel, of course, Cancun, the Riviera Maya corridor, Isla Mujeres, Tulum, and Bacalar. All of those destinations are amazing. This is what we call the Mexican Caribbean. So if you count the hotel rooms available just between Cancun, Tulum, and the Riviera Maya, it's very impressive to see that we are almost or close to 90,000 hotel rooms, which is a very large destination as well. And then all of the experiences that you can have in the region are very diverse as well. You know, if you go to Bacalar, what they call the Laguna de Siete Colores or the Seven Colors Lagoon, to Tulum, with the beautiful archaeological site, in which, by the way, it is the first observatory from the pre-Hispanic world, right there by the sea in the Sea of the Caribbean, Mexican Caribbean. This is pretty amazing. Isla Mujeres is like a small private paradise, and of course Cozumel Island, the second largest reef to do scuba diving, very well known in the world. And by the way, you know, our friends from Xcaret Hotel, they do have a new property. Actually, I was very excited to see what they are doing there, because now it's not only a beautiful upscale all-inclusive, but they include the parks as well. So that's amazing.
I stayed there during the Cancun travel market a few weeks ago, and had the privilege of having dinner there with their senior leadership at Xcaret Hotel, and it was just magnificent. All-inclusive, 11 fabulous hotels, restaurants. But the connectivity to the theme park is just incredible. I highly recommend it. It's the theme park itself, Xcaret, is really, really worth the trip. So I would highly recommend anything with the Xcaret brand to your clients.
Absolutely. Remember, they have a group of thematic parks. It's not only Xcaret, but also Xochimilco. They do have Explore, Census as well, and a brand new that Xochimilco is like a replica of the Xochimilco Mexican version of Venetia in Mexico City. So it's pretty amazing what you can experience there. Now, going back, my friend, to my hometown, Mexico City. This is, I mean, after living a couple of years here in New York City, I can tell you that Mexico City could be as fun as New York City in many ways. I just listed here the attractions that you can find in the big city. Well, it's actually within the city, 9 archaeological zones, 47 book fairs, which is pretty impressive in terms of culture and what you can experience down there. 102 different venues for meetings, you know, for the convention and incentive world. It's pretty amazing. 154 theaters, 169 museums open to the public, which is pretty competitive in terms of museums open to the public. If you compare us with London or New York City, we are up there. And over 238 cultural centers, and at least 2 of the top 50 best restaurants in the world, the Pujol and Quintonil by chefs Enrique Olvera and Jorge Quintana. It's pretty amazing what you can experience in terms of the culinary. You, my friend, have experienced Mexico City as well, and believe me, it's a culinary scene.
I've got the waistline to prove it. Also, I would say that in terms of hotel product, you've got some great 5-star with Four Seasons, St. Regis, Intercontinental, and Presidente. I always stay in the Reforma area because it's pretty central to everything in Mexico City, but the hotel product is as good, if not better, than any place in the world.
I agree. The whole Polanco area, you know, it's just across the street from the Anthropology and History Museum, which in Mexico, by the way, will take you 7 full days to actually see it properly. It's amazing the kind of culture we have in Mexico City. Just a quick mention on the large events. Actually, a couple of them have just happened last weekend. We had a big parade in Mexico City to celebrate the Day of the Dead. As I was mentioning before, over 1 million people witnessed this parade, and it was pretty exciting. Also, the Formula One was held. The championship actually was decided in Mexico City last weekend, and of course, we are having the NFL match next November 19th in Mexico City, and the golf tournament as well next year, early next year in February. Talking about the diversity of Mexico, if you now travel to the western coast of Mexico, you know what Jacques Cousteau actually called the aquarium of the world, just because of the diversity. It's amazing to be in one of these properties, Jack, and experience one of the most diverse natural scenes that I've ever seen. So you have the desert and cactuses, and then the beach, and then the beautiful Sea of Cortez on one side, or the Pacific Ocean on the other side. This is just amazing for the clients enjoying golf, spas, you know, ultra luxury, and of course many other natural related activities. It's very, very interesting what is going on in Cabos. Just to mention some of the new developments in the area, you will have a new Solaz Los Cabos, the new Ritz-Carlton Reserve, Nobu Los Cabos, the Hard Rock as well, Auvergne, and the Four Seasons. And to me, a highlight is the Grand Vela's new resort. It's just an amazing, all-inclusive, large complex where you can really experience the ultra luxury in Mexico. So there are many things going on there.
Also, if I can just interject a little bit on the accessibility of things to do in Los Cabos, everything is very close. You can literally play golf at one of the world's greatest golf courses and sport fish in the afternoon. I've experienced both, and I can tell you the fishing is phenomenal. The golf is some of the best in the world. But also access to downtown Cabo if you want to take a little break from your resort property. Downtown Cabo is a lot of fun. Great restaurants, great evening entertainment, a couple of nightclubs. You can walk from end to end. It's about 8 blocks, but highly recommended. All the hotels that we showed you are extremely accessible to downtown.
Thank you, Jack. And also, and by this the presentation that is going to be available for all of you, you will have this map of hotels, new hotels, actually for the next 2 or 3 years. And we believe this is very valuable information because there are many clients asking for new stuff. You know, when you are going back to Cabos, for some reason you always want to know what's new. So also in the next slide, we're going to see a couple of experiences that we all recommend a lot. I mean, the Cabo Pulmo National Park is a national marine park on the east coast of the Baja Peninsula, and it's a very short distance from Los Cabos. This is a great day trip when you are visiting Cabos. And also the well-known small town of Todos Santos is a culinary and an art scene, and they do have some new developments and new concepts like Yazamango, which is a farmer's table restaurant kind of experience that you can go and experience by in a very short drive again from Cabos and other places from the Baja Peninsula. I believe that there are several different new items that we can add to our portfolio in terms of selling this kind of products and the trips to Los Cabos to our clients. This is great. Now we'll travel to the Pacific coast of Mexico. I know, Jack, that this is one of your favorites as well. To me personally, well, this is the first time that I see a grilled oysters. Actually, I have them right in the Malecon. You know, I mean, I was spending the afternoon walking around the Malecon, which now, by the way, is just for pedestrians only. You won't have any cars driving as they did in the previous years. Now it's just for pedestrians, for you to enjoy. All of it renovated. So spending, you know, I mean, the afternoons in that Malecon is just amazing to me. It's not only a culinary experience as well in Mexico, but also a lot of art galleries. You know, to me, it's very attractive, the typical town of Puerto Vallarta, going around the small streets and the romantic side of town that they call, very well positioned for many markets, specifically to the LGBT market, you know, because Puerto Vallarta is the first city in Mexico to receive the Gay Travel Approved distinction by gaytravel.com, which is a very important distinction. And then our friends are visiting us all year round. The weather is amazing. It's a kind of different experience than the Caribbean, because here you will get what we call the golden sand. You know, it's not like the white sand in the Caribbean, but this is a pretty amazing and different destination, very typical in terms of its downtown.
It's one of the few destinations in Mexico where it's got a unique combination of colonial with sand and surf. Okay, it's the Puerto Vallarta and Mazatlan, in my experience, have been two great destinations that have the best of both worlds.
Absolutely. I'm very glad that you bring up Mazatlan, because Mazatlan is, to me, the only real colonial city by the sea. And now it's just booming. We had our most important travel trade show, as you may recall, last year in Mazatlan, and I was very surprised to see what's going on in that little town. Well, it's not so little now, but it's an amazing, colorful colonial city with a beautiful seafood, probably my favorite in Mexico. Well, but going back to the Puerto Vallarta and the Riviera Nayarit area, you know, I mean, you can go to Sayulita for a beautiful one-day trip, and this is amazing what you will explore in that small town. And of course, Punta Mita, they do have certain and many activities, as the Virgin of Guadalupe festivities in the month of December, international gourmet festivals in both destinations, and you know, Punta Mita is just booming in terms of hotels and ultra luxury. Something, I mean, it's not close to what is going on in Cabos. Actually, is different, but at the same level, if you allow me to. I mean, this is the Pacific side of the country, beautiful scenery, very deep blue in the ocean, you know, and they are actually bringing to the table very nice new products, as we can tell. In the whole corridor of Riviera Nayarit, where Punta Mita is located, of course, you will find the San Regis Hotel, the Four Seasons in Punta Mita, new development, the Ritz as well. Marival is doing great things, especially for family travel, as well as Grand Velas, as we spoke before. This is actually their first destination. They do have another property in the Riviera Maya, and then the new one in Cabos, and then the Iberostar in Playa Mita, the Imanta Resort, the Cristal Gran Vallarta, and the Mayan Palace. I would say in terms of the Riviera Nayarit highlights for next year, we have the Rosewood Mandarina. The Rosewood, you know, the very fine chain hotel is coming to the Riviera Nayarit in 2019 with the rosewood mandarina, something new for all of your clients as well. We do have the Grand Serenis Matali as well, and a couple of more surprises in the area for your clients. Now we go to the capital city of the state of Jalisco. As we were saying before, this is the second largest city in Mexico after Mexico City, and to me, this is the most Mexican state in Mexico, just because the tequila and the mariachi music is actually from the area of Jalisco. So they have a lot of different happenings throughout the year, and it's a cosmopolitan city, but with a very fine Mexican taste. I mean, in terms of gastronomy, it is amazing, and in terms of culture as well. We do have a couple of towns in the surroundings of the city that are a highlight as well for visiting, even day trips or something like that. It's worth to say as well, Jack, that now Guadalajara has become the Silicon Valley of Mexico. There is a lot of technology going on in the city, and it's very impressive what we are doing with this magical city. As we were saying before, not only the Guadalajara downtown and all of the different areas of the city, but you have, I would actually highlight three areas. First of all, Tlaquepaque, very Mexican, the handcrafts, all of the Mexican experience with the mariachi bands, with the tequila tastings and so on is going on in Tlaquepaque. You have the amazing museum of El Refugio, and you have something that they call the Parian, where they have actually lined up 18 restaurants and a craft market. This is just amazing. They do have as well in Tlaquepaque a ceramic museum, for people to actually go and buy something really Mexican to take home. And then Zapopan. This is another town surrounding the area of Guadalajara, where you can actually visit the archaeological zone, which is pretty amazing. The hunting museum, they have a museum of art as well in the Zapopan area, and the Basilica of Zapopan is very impressive. They actually are going to conduct, this is worthwhile because we are in November, so they are going to have on the 24th and the 25th of November, the Mexican Wine Festival, for you to experience all of the new stuff that is actually going on in Mexico in terms of wine. This is pretty amazing in Guadalajara.
I actually had the privilege of attending an event here in New York City on Friday night and met the mayor of Guadalajara. So he asked me my three favorite restaurants, which I told him all three. I thought they were just fabulous and just unique. And he said, my friend, you have to come back. You have to come with me, and I will take you to even better restaurants. And I'll tell you, the ones that I went to were just incredible. And he said, there's even better than that. So if you want a gastronomic experience that is some of the best around, go to Guadalajara. It's amazing food.
Thanks, Jack. I totally agree. We need to go back and experience some of those beautiful culinary. And also, I was missing the town of Tequila. They have developed actually just recently a beautiful, I would say it's a whole new destination in Tequila town. Tequila is where actually the distilleries are located, but then they have also the Tequila Express, which is a train that takes you from one distillery to the other, experiencing that. And this is a very luxurious train service that takes you from one point to the other. So this is very important. Also, not only the Tequila Express, but one of the other companies have the Herradura Express. So, I mean, it's just amazing what you can experience there. It's totally different than the rest of the destinations. Now, let me just present to all of you, I mean, you will find much more information online at www.visitmexicouniversity.com. Most of the information on this very nice and well put together training and sales tool. It's dynamic, it's accessible in mobile, tablet, or desktop 24/7, 365 days a year. And of course, you can complete the courses as you have time. You know, you don't have to devote a full day or something like that. If you have half an hour now, an hour later, and so on, you can be completing some of the courses. But I would definitely strongly suggest our agents community to go online and take some of the courses available here. Of course, it's free of charge. It's a service that we provide. And then, I mean, I would say the 4 most important courses to go through here are, of course, Mexico Specialist in general, the Sun and Sand destinations, and then Cultural Adventure Specialist in Mexico, and Romance and Luxury. You know, romance meaning weddings and groups, family groups as well. As you can tell, Jack, with a huge destination as Mexico and so diverse, it's very tough for us to go through everything in half an hour. But definitely, our friends from the travel agents community will actually be able to access most of this information online, and actually we are going to do our best to keep them updated in real time, but it's important for them to use this tool.
You'll find a lot more detail on some of the subjects we talked upon today at Mexico Visit Mexico University, so I'd highly recommend that you go online in your spare time and take a tour of many of the destinations that we talked about, and there's a lot more information that you'll find on this website.
Thanks, Jack. Well, this slide, I'm going to leave this slide to you all. It's in regards to new operations, but not there yet. They are coming next year or in the near future. Just for you to have an idea on which destinations are actually going to be served in the near future. It's very important for us to have this information and to plan ahead. These are the new routes. We'll leave the list with all of you, and so you are informed and you are able to communicate to your clients the new routes and new possibilities for them to travel to Mexico. It is very important for me to thank you all, travel advisors, because without your support, definitely Mexico wouldn't be doing as good as we are doing now. We all know that we have sometimes not only Mexico, but many other travel destinations, communication challenges, and some of the perceptions are actually affecting our business, but we are here to help you. And we believe that the best tool for you to talk to your clients and definitely be able to recommend or suggest some destinations is to keep well informed. So we are going to do our best. By the online tool, we are actually informing you in real time what's going on in Mexico, what are the happenings to be shared with your clients, what is new, and actually also some, in certain cases, clarification on some of the news that are out there. Mexico is a huge destination, and we are next to the largest market in the world, so definitely there is a lot going on, but the best bet for us is to keep well informed and to be transparent in terms of the information. There are millions of people, almost 40 million people, international travelers went to Mexico last year, and would truly believe that that speaks for itself.
I'd say at this point, we will first of all thank you, Alfonso, for a great presentation, fabulous tour of Mexico. I've vacationed in Mexico for the past 40 years, been to every single one of these destinations, and I go back year after year after year. In fact, I've just booked my trip to Los Cabos for Christmas, where I always spend 2 weeks. Yeah. So I'm going to ask you for a good deal. You're going to get me a good deal there at hotel. So, but I would highly recommend any of these destinations and more. And for the next couple of weeks, you'll see other presenters. We've got 4 more in this series with the Mexico Tourism Board. Different aspects of Mexico that you'll see in the coming weeks, but I think this is a great overview of some of the fabulous destinations in Mexico, and most importantly, how accessible Mexico destinations are to any American city. So with that, I'll turn it back over to you, Kara, for questions from our travel advisors.
Perfect. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for such an informative presentation. It looks like our advisors are eager with some questions here. So first off, can our advisors find information on booking for the Formula One race on the Mexico Tourism website?
Formula One?
Oh, the Formula One.
Yeah, the question is can our advisors find information on the website about booking Formula One?
Well, yeah, actually, Formula One just took place last weekend. So the next edition will be in 2019, and definitely you can get some information on the Visit Mexico website. Yes.
It's an amazing event. I've been. It's over the course of the couple of days, there is, I went one day, there was 100,000 people. It's quite an event.
Travel advisors can go to Ticketmaster to actually get a ticket, but also some of the receptive operators in Mexico do a package. So definitely that's going to be available at visitmexico.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much. It looks like our next question is going to be for travel to Mexico. Do you recommend or suggest using Volaris Airlines?
Volaris.
Well, as you may know, this is not only for Mexico, but the so-called low-cost airlines are actually in many other markets. And then Volaris is one of the low-cost airlines in Mexico. So the difference between, I would say, the business model between Volaris, Interjet, Viva Aerobus, some of the other low-cost airlines, is that Volaris provides a service that you can add up. I mean, if you are not traveling with a bag, they won't charge you for the bag. If you are not traveling, if you don't need that much space, they will give you a certain seat. You know what I mean? It's like a optional or different options for you to pay or not certain services on board, even the food. So as many other low cost, that's their business model, and they are growing. Actually, they are booming. They just started a service between JFK and Guadalajara City with a lot of success. So yes, it's one of the options for a client looking at low cost airlines.
Thank you.
Also, I've flown domestic many times between Mexico destinations on Interjet and Air Calafia, Aeromexico, and the product is terrific. It is just great. On time, great airlines. They're new planes, particularly in the case of Interjet and Volaris. So your clients will not be disappointed if they decide to take a domestic flight from, say, Mexico City to, say, Guadalajara if they want to do a day trip.
Thank you, Jack. Speaking of Mexico City, looks like we have an advisor here who is considering sending some clients to Mexico City next year for the Day of the Dead. Would this be the best place to send them for that celebration, or do you think there would be another location in Mexico that would be a best to celebrate the Day of the Dead?
Well, there are several different options for your clients to experience the authentic Day of the Dead celebration. I would say Michoacan State, Morelia. I would say Oaxaca City. And of course, Mexico City has become the epicenter of the celebration because of the large parade that actually took place last weekend. It was pretty amazing, attended by 1 million people, you know, from people from Mexico City to visitors and travelers from all over the world, because it's in the area of in the hotel zone, let's say, of Polanco and Reforma corridor. So it is amazing, and I would say yes, to experience the Day of the Dead big celebration, that's perfect. And also, let me tell you, Kara, that we are actually launching. I don't know if you're familiar, Jack, with the recent Disney movie Coco. So, but many people are excited about that. So we have developed specific tours inspired by the movie. So I'm gonna ask the team to put those and upload that information at the Visit Mexico University website and visitmexico.com for the travel advisors to actually get that information in regards to Mexico itineraries inspired by Coco. I believe that that's a great tool for the celebration of the Day of the Dead. Kerry, if you allow me to, just going back a little bit on air connectivity and something that Jack did mention, Aero Calafia, for example. Aero Calafia, this is a small airline servicing, let's say, from Los Cabos to Mazatlan to all of that area in small planes, is available. And also, you have Mayan Air in the Cancun or the Merida airport. So your clients can actually go from Cancun to Cozumel, from Cancun to Mérida, from Cancun to Campeche in a very short flights. Very good service. Again, we are going to put this on the Visit Mexico University website, but I believe that those kind of services add an added value for your clients trying to go to those next to the big destinations areas, and I believe that this is a very good deal.
Thank you, gentlemen. It looks like our next question is going to be in reference to a different destination that we did not discuss. So do we have any information on Mexico University by chance on Holobox? This advisor would love to sell Holobox, but they are not aware of any tour operators that sell Holobox.
Yes, absolutely. Holobox, to be honest with you, it is one of my favorite destinations. You can get pretty much what the Mexican Caribbean has to offer, though. It's not a large resort area. You know, this is a quieter spot in the Caribbean of Mexico, not far from. It's actually serviced by the Cancun airport, or you can get there by a boat as well. But it's a much quieter, different experience, relaxed, and you can do the tiburón ballena, the whale shark experience there. It's pretty amazing. It's one of the two nicest spots to actually do that. And then if you go to the Visit Mexico University in the Caribbean or the Quintana Roo chapter, definitely you will get information on Holobox. Also, you can go to the visitmexico.com website, the general website, and then hit Quintana Roo destinations, and there are some specifics on Holobox. Amazing experience for clients looking for relaxed and quiet destination, and contact with nature. It's just amazing.
Thank you. It looks like another advisor has a client that's interested in fishing licenses that may be needed in order to do so. Would you have any information on if there are fishing licenses that are needed and the easiest way to obtain these fishing licenses specifically for Cabo?
My experience in fishing with Cabo, this goes back many years ago. In fact, it was at the time that I was the publisher of Field and Stream magazine. So we did a couple of client outings in Mexico. At the time, there were only two major hotels, the Twin Dolphin and the Hotel Cabo San Lucas. But my experience was incredible. It's still incredible to this day. All you really have to do is you can book it through the hotel concierge. For literally the next morning, you show up on the dock at 6 a.m. and you will be treated to some of the best fishing in the world. Not only is it great for marlin, but wahoo, literally any kind of sport fish you can actually think of. But my favorite part about it is the accessibility. It's only to the prime fishing zone is maybe a 20 to 30 minute boat ride from the harbor. Yeah, not like say here on the East Coast where you've got to travel 3 to 4 hours before you get to the great fishing spots. It's literally only 20, 30 minutes from downtown Cabo. So I would just book it through the concierge, go straight to the marina. The marina is right in the center of town. It is spectacularly beautiful. The ride out to the fishing zone is great. You'll be followed by a number of seals. In fact, you'll meet Pedro. Pedro is the kind of the granddad of all seals in Cabo, and he will follow your boat all the way out and all the way back. But you'll have a great fishing experience in Cabo. I've done it many times.
Yes, of course. Probably some of the clients have very specific information needs, Cara. If they are willing or trying to do something special, you can also send an information request to info@visitloscabos.travel. Again, info@visitloscabos.travel. They have all of the information your clients need to know prior to the trip. But thank you, Jack. That was very informative.
Perfect. Thank you. I'm sure that they will definitely take down that website as they do have some questions specifically for the different guides in Los Cabos. Our next question looks like it's going to be related to hotel stays. Do either of you gentlemen know what hotels offer facilities for physically challenged to enjoy their stay in Mexico?
Maybe I can handle it. I've been to most destinations, and I can tell you almost all, if not all, are extremely accessible with wheelchair ramps and elevators, and I would certainly call ahead. But every hotel I've been in any resort in Mexico had incredible facilities for the physically challenged.
In Mexico, it's not only the facilities in the resort area, Kara, but also in the rooms. They do have, by law, they need to have accessible bathrooms, let's say, for challenged visitors. And of course, we are very welcoming, so people in the resorts are going to do their best to make you feel at home. That's a personal point of view. But on the other hand, by law, they need to be prepared for our visitors with some kind of physical challenge, and definitely this is something that they need to achieve through when they apply for a license to run a hotel. So many of the hotels, as Jack said, are prepared for it, but definitely always is good to call in advance for certain specific properties.
Right.
Thank you, gentlemen. And it looks like our last question that we have time for, I know that we had discussed a couple different locations in Mexico, but how are Mexico's east and west coasts different as travel destinations?
Well, you mean if you're talking to Cabos and then Riviera Maya
right,
and so on? Again, I would say Mexico is so diverse. To me, in my personal experience, are totally different experiences. When you go to the Caribbean side of the country in the east, you will get this sand. It's like a white sand, very soft, you see, and the colors of the sea are just amazing. A little bit, it's a different kind of blue that what you will see in the Pacific Ocean. And then in the Pacific and the Sea of Cortez, you will have this golden sand that we call, a little bit harder, but amazing. It's just a different type of experience on the beaches, and also a totally different kind of experience in terms of the food. In the Baja Peninsula, you are able to experience the fish tacos, the lobster, very very fresh lobster and seafood. But also in the Caribbean, you will get the what we call the langostinos and many other seafood and actually steaks and different kind of very specialized cuisine of the Yucatan Peninsula. So I would say going from one destination to the other, and even the ones in the Pacific, let's say Mazatlan, Puerto Vallarta, or Ixtapas y Guatanejo, is in each time a very different experience. The hotels, the resorts look just different, and the only thing that I would say that they share, all of them, is the great service.
Yes, great service and just wonderful people. Also, on the East Coast, it's going to be much more tropical than it would be on the West Coast, where it's more desert and arid. So it really kind of depends on what your clients like. There's, certainly a lot of vegetation on the East Coast, but the desert environment on the West is just spectacular. It leads right down to the ocean. So very different destinations, but certainly your clients will love either and both.
Perfect. Thank you both. As I had mentioned, this webinar was recorded, and I would like to give a special thank you to both of you for such an informative presentation. I can speak on behalf of our advisors. I know that everyone was very engaged and still has some questions pouring in that they would love to ask you. As I had mentioned at the beginning of our webinar, we do have two special giveaways today. Our Ask a Gift card is going to be won by Miss Jamie Owens. Jamie Owens, congratulations. I will be getting in touch with you shortly. And drum roll, please. We have a very big welcome to Jill Smith. Jill Smith, thank you so much for joining us today. You won our giveaway from Hotel Xcaret. Just so everyone knows, Hotel Xcaret will be giving a special giveaway for the remainder of our series, our episodes with our series on Mexico. So if you didn't win today, never fear. We will be back next Monday at the same time for our next episode of our ASTA Mexico webinar series, where we will be learning all about Mexico's biodiversity. Thank you again so much, gentlemen, as well as to all of our advisors today who've joined us on our call. This will conclude today's presentation, and we hope that everyone has a wonderful remainder of the afternoon. Thank you all so much, and winners, I will be getting in touch with you shortly.
Thank you, Cara.
Thanks, Cara.
Thanks to everybody.
Of course, thank you.
Bye.